Heartwarming discovery. Billionaire lady exposes incredible life-changing secret behind girl with Emily, at just 15, was more than just a girl. She was a beacon of hope in a struggling Midwestern town. Her smile, genuine yet tinged with duty, masked the daily grind of balancing school and 2 part-time jobs, all while caring for her weary single mom. The diner, the pulse of their community, was where townsfolk shared their joys and sorrows. Once a thriving hub, it now flickered like a dying ember, hanging by a thread of nostalgia and love. Each morning, Emily brewed coffee and served pie, cherishing the laughter that momentarily shushed the worries of life. But as the diner faced closure, worry settled like smoke in the air. That's when Claire, the wealthy philanthropist, glided into town. She was seeking solace from her golden cage of privilege. What caught her attention wasn't just the diner's peeling paint, but the fire in Emily's spirit. Emily, with her fierce resolve, was not just battling poverty. She was fighting for community. During a bustling community event where volunteers bustled about, you could feel the air thrum with emotions, laughter mingling with unspoken fears. Claire saw a spark in Emily, a relentless fight that reminded her of her own lost passions. In an impulsive moment, she spoke of a grand fundraising event to save the diner, her voice echoing with enthusiasm. But whispers milled through the crowd. Skepticism cloaked the townsfolk. Who was this outsider talking about their life? It felt like a wound was freshly opened, exposing the divide between her wealth and their shared struggles. The tension peaked at the town meeting that followed. Voices clashed like thunder. A cacophony of unmet needs and class resentment filled the room. Emily stood, her trembling hands clenching the edges of the wooden podium. "You don't understand," she exclaimed, her voice raw. "This diner isn't just a building. It's home. We fought to keep it afloat, pouring our hearts into the late nights and early mornings." Claire felt the rawness of Emily's words wrap around her chest like a vice. As Emily's mom stood with tears in her eyes, sharing fears of losing everything, Claire was confronted with a mirror of her own life, a reflection of her disconnection. She hadn't known sacrifice. She had only known charity. Now, she felt compelled to bridge that gap. But how? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as hope began to fade, an unexpected decision hung heavy in the air. Claire turned to Emily, eyes wide with realization. "Let me help, but not as an outsider. I want to build this with you." The room fell silent, one heartbeat to the next. Could they forge a partnership across the chasm of privilege and need? Emily felt a surge of uncertainty wash over her. What if differences drove them apart? But deep down, a flicker of hope ignited. It was time to redefine community and connection, not just for the diner, but for each other. The diner stood at the precipice of destiny, its fate intertwined with the bold journey of 2 unlikely allies. Would they rise together, or would the weight of their worlds pull them apart? The answer lingered, unfinished, a challenge echoing in their hearts. As the last echoes of skepticism faded, the weight of the moment settled heavily on the 2 women. Claire's proposition crackled with potential, but fear threaded through Emily's mind. How would they navigate the complexities of class, perception, and trust? The town needed more than a charity event. It required a transformation, a rekindling of a fading flame. "Together," Emily whispered, her voice barely above the hum of disbelief that bounced around the room. "Yes, together," Claire affirmed, her eyes burning with resolve. "Let us turn this diner into a community event, something that brings everyone in with open arms." With renewed purpose, Emily felt her spirit lift. It was as if the diner itself inhaled, drawing in hope, inspiration, and the promise of revival. But lurking in the corners of her mind was the nagging thought. Would the town accept a rich benefactor as anything other than a savior? Over the next few days, they worked tirelessly. They painted walls that had long been forgotten and organized bake sales where children giggled and shared dreams of their futures over chocolate chip cookies. Felt like magic was brewing. But doubts lingered. During one particularly busy afternoon in the diner, a local man named Jake, known for his blunt honesty, leaned against the counter, eyeing Claire with suspicion. "What do you really want, Claire?" he asked, arms crossed over his heavy chest. The noise in the diner faded, and all eyes shifted to them. "You come here, swoop in with your money, and expect us to believe you really care?" Emily's heart sank. The weight of skepticism bore down on her resolve. Claire opened her mouth to respond, but Emily stepped forward, feeling the need to protect their fragile alliance. "She's here to help. We're building something together now." Jake shook his head. "Help doesn't come with strings attached. We're not some charity case for you to flaunt your wealth. This diner was built by sweat and tears. Remember?" The tension was palpable. Claire took a deep breath, her posture shifting from defensive to inviting. "I know I may not understand all your struggles, but I want to learn. I want to contribute by listening, not by overlooking you." A flicker of something shifted in the room. Curiosity, maybe. The townsfolk leaned in, still wary but willing to listen. This wasn't just Claire's fight, nor just Emily's. Perhaps, together, they could sculpt a new narrative as the weeks rolled into a rhythm of hard work and tentative trust. Claire became a fixture in their community. She was the one who mixed batter for pies and learned to brew the perfect coffee. Each interaction softened the edges of suspicion, as they bonded over shared laughter and late-night planning sessions at the diner. But just as the grand fundraising event approached, a storm brewed on the horizon. A letter arrived at the diner, an eviction notice, directly from the landlord stating that unless they could come up with unpaid back rent by the end of the week, they would have to close their doors permanently. Emily's heart plunged. Everything they had worked for was on the line. Claire looked over the letter, her expression a blend of shock and determination. "We can't let this happen. We need a plan right now." With the weight of their dreams now heavier than ever, the two women stood together, staring at what felt like an insurmountable challenge. Would they have the strength to fight against the odds? The clock was ticking, and time was running out. Could they rally the town in time, or would they watch their hopes slip away like sand in an hourglass? The answer loomed just ahead, a wave of uncertainty crashing down as the door to the diner swung open, and an unexpected visitor stepped inside. The jingle of the diner's doorbell rang out like warning bells in the charged atmosphere. Everyone turned to see who had entered, their expressions a mix of hope and confusion. It was a familiar figure, Mrs. Hargrove, the elderly lady who had become somewhat of a town legend. Mrs. Hargrove leaned heavily on her cane, her gray hair framing a face that twinkled with a lifetime of stories. "Sorry to barge in like this," she said, her voice gentle yet commanding attention. "But I heard about what's happening here, and I believe I can help." Emily's heart raced. Could this be the break they had been waiting for? Help? Jake's voice was skeptical again. "We appreciate the sentiment, but we're already heading down a tough road. What can you do?" Mrs. Hargrove's eyes sparkled with mischief. "You'd be surprised how history can offer us unexpected allies. Did you know this diner sits on land that used to belong to my family? My great-grandfather built this very building with hope in his heart. I may be old, but I still have a few connections." Claire stepped forward, hope igniting in her chest. "Connections? You mean to the landlord?" The old woman nodded slowly. "Yes, and beyond. You're not just fighting for the diner. You're fighting for the spirit of this town." As the townspeople began to murmur among themselves, the atmosphere shifted. Mrs. Hargrove's presence was a balm, carrying the weight of shared memories, the laughter, the tears, the connection they all felt to the diner. She positioned herself behind Emily and Claire, the two women now side by side, their alliance strengthened by this unexpected support. "We can't just wait for something to happen," Mrs. Hargrove continued, her voice rising above the chatter. "We need to take action. I want you both to gather the townspeople tomorrow night. Let us rally together. We'll have a meeting, a bake sale, a fundraiser. Everyone has a story here, and they need to be shared. The words hung in the air like a sweet promise. Emily could see the fire sparking in the eyes of her neighbors. They had long been disconnected, locked in their fears and suspicions. But here Mrs. Hargrove stood, the embodiment of resilience. Jazz, the diner's cook, spoke up, his voice resonating in the silence. What if we get everyone to share their favorite memories here too? Not just about the diner, but about the town. We'll show everyone that we are more than just a place to eat. Excitement rippled through the diner as ideas bounced from person to person. Emily felt a smile creeping onto her face, her own hope rekindling. Claire exchanged a quick glance with her, both women knowing that the evening could mark a turning point. If only they had the courage to act. That evening, as they prepared for the gathering, Emily's heart fluttered with anticipation. They painted banners, set up tables, and baked more treats than she thought possible. But in the back of her mind loomed the eviction notice, a shadow threatening their newfound unity. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, turning the sky a fiery orange, townsfolk began to arrive, filling the diner with chatter and laughter. The warmth wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, igniting a flicker of determination in Emily's heart. Yet, as the event began, an ominous figure lingered at the back, the landlord himself, arms crossed and his brow set in a hardened line. With this tension simmering, Emily looked to Claire, whose expression was grave yet resolute. "This is it," Claire whispered. "We have to show him what we've built." Every instinct told Emily they were on the brink of something pivotal. But would it be enough to change their fate? And could they confront the landlord before it was too late? As Mrs. Hargrove welcomed everyone with an open heart, Emily felt the air shift once again. An undeniable truth pulsed beneath the surface. This fight was just beginning. The air buzzed with energy as the townspeople filled the diner, their laughter and chatter mixing with the warm aroma of baked goods wafting from the kitchen. Emily glanced around, taking in the scene. She saw faces she recognized but hadn't spoken to in years, all drawn together by a common purpose. The diner was more than just a place. It was the heart of their community, a gathering spot where everyone had shared stories and memories. Mrs. Hargrove stood at the front, her voice rising above the jovial noise, attracting attention like a beacon. "Ladies and gentlemen," she called out, her cane tapping lightly on the floor for emphasis. "Thank you all for being here tonight. We are here not just to support this diner, but to reclaim our memories and our connections." Applause erupted, and Emily felt her heart swell. She caught Claire's eye, and they both nodded, full of unspoken determination. Maybe they could bank on something stronger than worry, something like love. The kind of love that tied their histories together and made every morsel shared in this diner a cherished memory. As the meeting began, Jazz took his place in the kitchen, serving up plates of steaming pie, coffee, and freshly baked bread. Each dish was imbued with a piece of the town's soul, a recipe passed down through generations. Emily could see the joy in the townsfolk's eyes as they indulged in these familiar flavors, laughter echoing off the walls, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences. Then, Mrs. Hargrove called for the townspeople to share their stories, one by one. "Let us remind ourselves why we're fighting," she urged, her eyes glistening. One by one, voices emerged, tales of love, loss, dreams, hope, and resilience. There was old Mr. Peters, reminiscing about his first date with his late wife at the diner, and young Clara, a shy girl whose eyes lit up as she shared how the diner was where she got her first job. Every story resonated with the next, a weaving of their collective spirit as both new and old faces joined in. But throughout the gathering, Emily felt that ominous weight of the landlord's presence lurking behind them. His stoic gaze swept over the room, arms crossed tight. He looked more like a knight guarding a treasure than a businessman, and yet, to her, he seemed out of place amid the warmth and joy swirling around. Suddenly, Mrs. Hargrove paused, focusing on Emily. "Why don't you share, Emily?" she encouraged, sensing the weight in her heart. Her pulse quickened. The room turned quiet, and all eyes were on her. Emily stood, her legs trembling slightly, but determination filled her spirit. "This diner, it's not just a building. It's our stories, our lives. It holds our laughter, our dreams, the heart of our town. Her voice shook but strengthened with each word. We deserve to keep it alive. This time, the applause rang louder and brighter. It roared through the diner, echoing against the walls, filling the place with fervor and conviction. Yet, in that moment of exuberance, she caught a glimpse of the landlord's scowl deepening. Just as that tension peaked, an unexpected voice broke through. It was Claire. We could also start a petition. If each of us signs, maybe we can show just how many people care about this place. The idea hit the crowd, and murmurs of agreement rose. However, as excitement flickered anew, a chilling sense of foreboding flickered through Emily's mind. How would the landlord respond to their efforts? Before she could speak again, the door suddenly swung open, allowing a gust of wind that carried an almost electric energy into the diner. Time felt suspended, every heartbeat like a countdown to something monumental. Who could it be bursting in like this? And as the door swung closed, the air filled with the scent of rain and possibility, Emily understood a storm was coming. Would they be ready for it? The door burst open to reveal a figure that sent a ripple of surprise through the diner. It was Jenna, a beloved local teacher who had left town years ago for a big city career. Her hair, usually tied back, flowed freely, catching the glow of the diner's lights as she stepped inside, water droplets glistening on her coat. A quiet hush enveloped the crowd. Everyone was captivated by her sudden appearance. "Jenna!" came a chorus of familiar voices, as those closest rushed to give her a hug. Emily felt her heart race with both excitement and apprehension. What was Jenna doing back here? Could this be part of the storm? Jenna flashed her trademark smile, but her eyes held a hint of urgency. "I heard about the diner's troubles. I had to come back. There's something I need to tell you all." Her voice, filled with emotion, captured their attention instantly. "Let us hear it," Mrs. Hargrove urged, her cane tapping as she motioned for everyone to gather around. Jenna took a deep breath, looking around at the faces of the people who shaped her formative years. "I've spent the last few years exploring, learning, and now I want to invest in the things that truly matter." The words hung in the air, and an air of confusion mingled with the hopeful chatter. "I've been looking at places to invest my savings," she continued, strong with purpose, "and when I heard about this diner, I knew I had to do something. This place is special, tied to all our hearts. I want to help." Gasps of astonishment filled the room. Emily's heart surged with hope, yet doubts danced in her mind. Was this too good to be true? They needed help, sure, but could Jenna really save the diner from the landlord's strict grip? "I want to start a community fund," Jenna said, her eyes sharp and determined. "With everyone's help, we can make this diner vibrant again. We need to show the landlord that we won't give up." This time, the applause was thunderous. The energy shifted. Excitement bubbled in the air. Emily couldn't help but feel a spark of joy. Together, they could create something bigger than just a diner. It could be a movement, a community revival. But in the back of her mind, nagging doubts loomed. Just then, Emily caught a glimpse of the landlord shifting uncomfortably outside the window, his phone glued to his ear. Was he getting word of their plans? What would he say when he heard about Jenna's intentions? "Let us make this petition a real force. I'll lead the efforts," Claire exclaimed, her enthusiasm resonating with the crowd. But Emily's heart sank. How would the landlord react? Would Jenna's presence provoke a greater battle? Suddenly, it felt like all eyes were on her again. She could feel the weight of her town's anticipation, the hope that perhaps this time, everything might change for the better. But would it be enough? And just how far would the landlord go to silence their efforts? As Emily opened her mouth to speak, she found herself caught between two worlds, one of hope and the other just on the edge of despair. And then the diner door creaked open once more, and the gust of wind announced not just rain, but a train of uncertainty that could derail everything they just built. Outside, the storm was gathering strength. Were they truly ready for the battle that lay ahead? Jenna took her place at the front, her presence now charged with purpose. Faces lit with excitement surrounded her, but beneath that thrill, Emily sensed an undercurrent of worry. She could see it mirrored in the expressions of her friends' anticipation mixed with fear. "Thank you all for welcoming me back," Jenna started, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "I know this diner means more than just food and coffee. It's a hub of our community. It's where we share stories, laughter, and support each other. But we need to be bold if we want to save it." Her gaze swept the room, landing on the faces of the people she once taught, now friends and neighbors who looked to her for guidance. Emily felt a swell of pride. Jenna's return was a beacon of hope. "Let us start by creating a community fund," Jenna continued, enthusiasm gaining momentum. "We can organize events, put on fundraisers, and even reach out to local businesses for donations. Together, we can show the landlord that we are committed to this place." The diner erupted in applause again, but Emily hesitated. It was easy to cheer. It was easy to feel hope. What about the cold reality outside waiting to snuff out that spark? As Jenna's ideas began to flourish among the crowd, Emily became acutely aware of the landlord's shadow lurking just outside. What were they up against? Wouldn't that just make him angry? Emily finally spoke up, her voice cutting through the chatter. "What if he fights back harder?" The room fell silent. Jenna paused, her smile fading slightly but resolutely holding Emily's gaze. "I understand your concern, but fear can't be our driver. If we let it govern us, we've already lost. This diner is worth fighting for." Frowning faces began to consider her words. Emily watched as some nodded slowly, absorbing Jenna's determination. Anxiety still churned in her stomach. Was it worth the fight? Just then, the storm outside roared. Wind rattled the windows, and rain began to pound rhythmically against the diner's roof. The energy shifted once more, and murmurs of uncertainty spread through the room. "That's it," Jenna exclaimed, ringing out like a clarion call. "We can have a community dinner this Saturday. Everyone brings a dish, we set up a donation box, and we make it a celebration of everything this diner means to us. A gathering to remind ourselves why we love this place." Excited shouts erupted in agreement, each voice fueling the fire of their new plan. Emily couldn't help but smile. Jenna's infectious energy lit a spark in her heart too. Maybe together they could move mountains even if it was just one step at a time. "Let us get to work," Claire shouted, the group rallying around her like they were on the verge of something monumental as they started to brainstorm ideas and jot down plans. Emily caught another glimpse of the landlord outside. He stood still, a dark figure in the rain, and fear gripped her again. She could almost hear him scoffing at their efforts. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the back of the diner, freezing everyone in place. "Did you hear that?" someone whispered, eyes widening as they exchanged nervous glances. Emily's heart raced. Were they being challenged already? She felt the stakes rising, tension coiling like a spring ready to unleash. What was happening? As the diner buzzed with anxiety, the door swung wide open again, water splashing as an unexpected figure stepped through. Shock rippled through the crowd once more. Emily's breath caught in her throat, unsure of what the next revelation would bring. The figure that stepped inside was none other than Mrs. Thornton, the town's elusive benefactor. Clad in a long, damp trench coat and a wide-brimmed hat that dripped with raindrops, she instantly commanded attention. The chatter of the diner hushed to a whisper, confusion and curiosity darting between familiar faces. "Good evening, everyone," she said, her voice unsteady yet warm, like a blanket from the diner's kitchen. She shook off raindrops, making a watery spectacle on the floor. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything." Jenna stepped forward, her hands on her hips like a determined teacher. "No, not at all, Mrs. Thornton. We're having a meeting about saving the diner." The crowd murmured, excitement bubbling underneath the surface. Emily's heart pounded. Was it possible that Mrs. Thornton had an idea or, even better, resources that could help them? "I came upon the diner by chance tonight," Mrs. Thornton continued, her eyes scanning the room as if searching for something specific. "I was drawn to the light, to the laughter that comes spilling out of these doors every day. This place, it's special." The old woman's gaze swept across familiar faces, lingering on Emily, who felt a tingle of recognition. She remembered how many times Mrs. Thornton had offered warmth to the community. But her puzzling life, rich yet frustratingly distant, called to mind the rumors of her past. Could she be the catalyst they needed? What do you mean by special? Someone called out from the back. It was Mark, always willing to push for more when it came to community matters. Mrs. Thornton smiled softly. When you create a space where people come together, it transcends the mere walls. It becomes a home. I have been watching many of you, your persistent fight to keep this diner alive. It speaks volumes about your love and commitment. The crowd exchanged glances, their weariness beginning to lift. Jenna took a step closer, her voice unwavering. That's why we're rallying everyone. We want to host a community dinner this Saturday, bringing everyone together for food and donations. Our aim is to prove that this diner is worth saving. The sparkle in Mrs. Thornton's eyes shone brighter with each passing word. She said with a hint of mischief, I believe I might have a few connections. Let's just say I have the ability to amplify your efforts. Hope surged through the room. Emily felt a warmth at the back of her throat. Could this be their turning point? But doubts nagged at her. What did amplifying mean? Was there a catch? What do you want from us? Emily asked, her voice steady as she addressed Mrs. Thornton directly. The eyes of the room turned to her. A collective breath held as they awaited the response to Mrs. Thornton's weathered brow crinkled. Nothing but your authenticity, she replied. I want to see your spirit, this community's spirit, thrive and flourish. If you're willing to embrace your love for this place, I'm here to support you. The energy shifted once more. Uncertainty mixed with excitement now palpable in the air. Emily felt her chest constrict. Was it really that simple? Could they really move forward with the help of someone with influence? Jenna stepped forward, her eyes bright with conviction. Then let us work together. We can draw more people in. Let us make this dinner meaningful. A way to show our love and what we're willing to fight for. Everyone seemed to lean in closer, the emotional undercurrents tugging their collective heartstrings. The possibilities spun like autumn leaves caught in a warm breeze. But the gentle magic of the moment persisted alongside an unsettling feeling. Would they really be able to take on the landlord's wrath, especially now that they were aiming higher? As Emily hesitated, a flicker of doubt surfaced in her mind. What if their newfound ally brought about more trouble than clarity? What if trusting her would put everything they fought for at risk? Just as Emily was about to voice her thoughts, a shattering crash erupted from the kitchen. A towering shelf had collapsed, sending plates and glassware clattering to the floor. Gasps filled the diner, and in that moment, Emily knew they had no choice. The world outside would not wait. They had to seize this opportunity, even amid uncertainty. Are we ready to do this? Jenna shouted over the commotion, her voice rising above the chaos. Emily's heart raced. Was she ready to dive into the unknown, or would fear hold her back? What would they discover about their community and themselves before it was too late? The diner's atmosphere crackled with newfound energy, the chaos of the broken dishes echoing the tumult within each heart. Emily felt her pulse quicken, the uncertainty clawing at her resolve. But here, right in the middle of the storm, something shifted. Jenna's voice was a lifeline. Let us not waste this moment, Jenna shouted, rallying everyone. We can't let a little disaster keep us down. The crowd erupted in laughter, a mix of nervous tension and excitement lifting them. Emily caught a glimpse of Mrs. Thornton, her eyes glinting with appreciation. It was as if she held the spark that would light the way, navigating through the turbulent waters ahead. What's the plan then? We need to decide right now, Mark suggested, his voice steady like the anchor of a ship fighting the waves. Jenna nodded, her energy buoying them. We can split into groups. One team handles the food, another gets word out to the community, and a few can meet with Mrs. Thornton to explore her connections. Emily felt the rising tide of determination wash over her. I can talk to my dad about bringing in his famous chili. What about you, Sarah? She called out. Sarah, who had been silent till now, perked up. I'll handle decorations. We need to show folks what this diner means to us. It'll be beautiful. The commitment exchanged between familiar faces felt warm, a swelling unity in their hearts. They moved swiftly, jolting into action. Emily grabbed Jenna's arm. "We need to focus on that landlord. If he doesn't get his way, he might retaliate. We can't let fear lead us." Jenna took a deep breath, her brow furrowed in thought. "Then we gather the people. We show him he can't just push us around. If this diner stands with the spirit of the community, then it can't be broken." Just then, Mrs. Thornton stepped forward, her presence suddenly commanding once more. "You keep talking about spirit, but let us harness that strength. During the community dinner, I'll bring in a few influential friends of mine, people who might stand against that landlord." The words hung in the air, heavy yet hopeful. Some whispers passed through the crowd, excitement replacing fear as possibilities unfolded. "Who are these friends?" Emily dared to ask, her heart racing. It felt like learning a secret that could change them forever. Mrs. Thornton smiled knowingly. "People who understand the value of community, folks who believe in supporting others. And sometimes they just need to see the heart of that community before they invest." The lights above flickered, the sound of laughter filling the diner as the group rallied together. They mapped out plans, pouring their hearts into what they were going to create. Emily felt a swell of pride for her town, for the bonds woven over shared meals and laughter. But in the back of her mind, the gnawing worry remained. Would the landlord back off at the sight of their united front? What if they crossed him and faced even harsher consequences? As the diner's warmth enveloped her, Emily knew she had to confront her doubts. Did she believe enough in their cause? Could she silence the fear echoing in her mind? She looked around at her friends and the hope flickering in their eyes. "Let us make this dinner unforgettable," she whispered, as if sealing the pact with the universe. And just when the excitement seemed to peak, the door slammed open. A gust of cold wind rushed in, and there stood a man, tall and foreboding. The landlord, Mr. Hargrove, glared at the gathered crowd, and Emily could feel her heart drop. "Planning a party, are we?" he growled, stepping forward like a wolf ready to pounce. The atmosphere thickened with tension, and Emily felt the unsteady ground beneath her. What was his next move? What would happen if they stood their ground against someone determined to tear their community apart? "Planning a party, are we?" Mr. Hargrove's voice dripped with disdain as his icy gaze swept over the crowd. Emily's heart raced, every beat pounding in her ears as the weight of the moment pressed down on her. "Just a community dinner, Mr. Hargrove," Jenna replied, stepping in front of Emily protectively. "We're celebrating what this diner means to all of us." Hargrove took another step forward, his presence looming ominously. "Celebrating? You mean throwing a pity party for your failing establishment? I could shut this place down in the blink of an eye." A low murmur rippled through the gathered crowd. Emily could feel the anxious energy in the diner, an electric confusion hanging in the air. The whispers mixed with the clamor of worry, but there was something else lurking beneath defiance. "Is that really what you want?" Sarah's voice broke through the tension, steady and filled with courage. "To destroy something that has brought joy to this community for so long?" Mr. Hargrove's expression shifted for a fleeting moment, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. "This is a business, not a social club." His dismissive tone grated against Emily's resolve. "Sometimes businesses are built on people, on connections." Emily chimed in, stepping beside Sarah. She glanced around at her friends, their supportive nods giving her strength. "You might see money, but we see hope. Hope that this diner continues to be a hub for our community." Hargrove's eyes narrowed, but the glimmer of uncertainty in his gaze emboldened Emily. She pressed on. "What if we could show everyone how this diner affects lives? How, when people gather here, they're not just eating, they're building a family." "Family?" Hargrove scoffed, but Emily could hear a note of irritation creeping in. "You think that matters?" Before she could reply, Mrs. Thornton stepped forward. "It matters to us, Mr. Hargrove, and you know it. Those of us who come here, we find connection, laughter, and love. Things that are worth far more than money." A tense silence settled over the room, the gathering feeling like a collective heartbeat. Hargrove shifted his weight, glancing around at the determined faces before him. Let me make this clear, he started, his voice low and dangerous. I want to make this easy for you. If you plan to proceed with your little dinner, then you'd better be prepared for the consequences. The threat hung in the air like an uninvited shadow, but the fire in Emily's heart refused to be extinguished. We're not afraid of you, she declared, her own voice rising above the doubt. We stand together, and together we can't be broken. Hargrove's expression mirrored a mixture of disbelief and annoyance. He chuckled bitterly, yet there was an unease hidden in his posture. Very well. Show me what you've got. As he turned to leave, the crowd erupted into spontaneous applause. Jenna squeezed Emily's shoulder, tears of relief glistening in her eyes. We can do this. Emily felt adrenaline surge through her, but uncertainty danced at the edges of her joy. Could they truly pull off something significant enough to sway a man like Hargrove? Suddenly, Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket. Pulling it out, she saw a text from an unexpected source, her father. I've got an idea to up the stakes, it read. Meet me at the diner tomorrow morning. With her heart pounding in anticipation, Emily turned to Jenna and the others. We need to meet early tomorrow. Something big is about to happen. The fire of determination flickered anew within her. But as the warmth of their unity wrapped around her, Emily couldn't shake the suspicion. What did her father know that could change everything? As they began to plan the dinner of a lifetime, the weight of the challenge ahead loomed larger than ever. Would it be enough to outmaneuver the landlord, or had they just started a much larger fight? The day of the community dinner arrived with a flurry of excitement and a hint of anxiety hovering in the air. The diner glimmered under twinkling lights, laughter spilling out of its doors as people gathered, each one carrying a dish that told a story of family, love, and resilience. Emily stood at the entrance, her heart a mix of pride and apprehension. The chatter of familiar voices filled her with warmth. Jenna was busy organizing tables while Claire set up a donation box with Mrs. Thornton nearby, ready to share her connections if things got shaky. As the crowd began to swell, Emily's mind raced. The landlord's earlier threat echoed in her ears. But she pushed aside that fear, reminding herself of the chance they had. This was about more than just saving the diner. It was about showcasing the spirit of their community. When the doors swung open for the official start of the dinner, a wave of laughter and joy crashed against any doubts. Mrs. Hargrove took the microphone, her presence commanding the attention of the packed diner. Tonight is not about food, she proclaimed with a twinkle in her eye. It's about celebrating who we are and what this diner means to us. Applause erupted as the townsfolk began to share stories, moments steeped in nostalgia that bound them together. Emily felt herself getting lost in those tales, her worries slowly melting away. There was old Mrs. Thompson's recounting of her first job at the diner, and then young Clara sharing her dream of becoming a chef, inspired by the very pies they served as stories wove through the night. Emily glanced at the back of the diner, hoping the landlord had come to see the very essence he threatened to extinguish. But instead, he stood outside, arms crossed, silhouetted against the neon glow of the diner's sign. Despite that unsettling image, their voices inside were louder, stronger than ever as the evening hit its peak. Emily felt a tap on her shoulder. Turning around, she found her father standing tall, a proud smile lighting his face. I brought something, he said, motioning toward a familiar wooden sign he had restored. The diner's original sign. Let's hang it tonight. A cheer broke out among the townspeople as they all pitched in, grabbing tools and ladders in an effort to resurrect a piece of their history. Emily beamed, feeling a swell of connection to everyone around her. Let us show Hargrove what this diner really is. Someone shouted, and with renewed fervor, they secured the sign back in its rightful place. Just then, the landlord's voice broke through the joy. Are you serious? A sign doesn't save a business. His sneer hung over the crowd, yet solidarity formed. Someone from the back boldly challenged him. It does when it symbolizes our fight. As Emily looked around, determination glistened in her friends' eyes. They rallied, their energy pushing back against the swirling doubt. One by one, more townsfolk stood up, recounting their love for the diner. Their brilliance washed over Hargrove's stubbornness like a tidal wave. The tension in the air shifted. Hargrove stepped back, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Emily found her voice, steady, piercing through the atmosphere like an arrow. You think we need your approval? This diner stands because we fought for it. It's home, and as long as we're together, it will never die. The crowd erupted in applause, reaffirming their commitment. Hargrove, almost daunted, turned away. This was the moment they had hoped for. Their unity loomed stronger, making each of them willingly accountable. As the dinner progressed, joy poured from each face. The room intertwined with laughter, music, and colors. When the final toast was made, Emily couldn't hold back her tears any longer. She felt the warmth of her community surrounding her. A true family bound by heartstrings and shared memories. It wasn't just about the diner. It was about fighting for each other, about braving the storm together. They had forged a bond that could not be broken. No real estate mogul could extinguish that fire. With the night coming to a close, Emily gathered everyone's hands together, squeezing tight. Tonight, we showed our love for this place. Let us continue to stand together and let them know this isn't over. As they echoed her words, Emily felt a renewed hope rise within her. The diner wasn't just a space filled with tables and food. It was a place that sealed the promises of a community that would fight to protect their sanctuary. In that moment, she understood the beautiful truth. They were not just saving the diner. They were saving each other and emerging from the shadows. Emily knew this was only the beginning. This was a new chapter, one painted in vivid colors that would light up their lives. They had faced the storm together, and nothing could take that away from them. Now was the time to move forward, to stand firm and embrace the journey ahead. And you, yes you, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.